Good afternoon. I call this meeting to order. This is a business meeting. Today we're going to consider two bills, S. 1125, the Blackfoot Water Rights Settlement Act of 2015, and S. 1879, the Interior Improvement Act. Senators Tester and Daines introduced Senate Bill 1125 in April. One amendment has been filed, and the bill authorizes, ratifies, and confirms the Blackfoot, Montana Water Rights Compact. As with most water settlements, costs can be significant, and I anticipate the budgetary impacts will remain a work in progress on this bill. In a few minutes, I'm going to turn to Senators Tester and Daines for statements on the bill. We'll do that shortly. The second bill today is S. 1879. I introduced this bill in July. The bill I'm offering today will do three things. First, it will reaffirm the authority of the Secretary of Interior to take land into trust for all federally recognized Indian tribes. Second, it will ratify the trust status of lands that have already been taken into trust. And third, it will improve Interior Department's off-reservation trust land acquisition process. Reaffirming the Secretary's authority to take land into trust and reaffirming the status of trust lands will address the long-standing issues created by the 2009 Supreme Court decision in Carcieri versus Salazar. Improvements to the land into trust process will infuse Interior's existing process with much-needed clarity, transparency, and consistency. These process improvements will also incentivize local cooperation, support economic development, and advance tribal self-determination. The measures reflect a very delicate balancing of many interests. They're the product of extensive discussions with stakeholders, with roundtable discussions, and with several hearings since 2009, including a hearing during this Congress on July 8th. I want to thank all the stakeholders, the public, the Department of Interior for their cooperation and input during this process. The matter has been examined and discussed extensively. The Interior Improvement Act and my substitute amendment have broad support from all corners. So I think it's now time to act. Before we turn to that bill, I do want to ask the Vice Chairman, Senator Tester, if he has an opening statement.
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman. First of all, we look forward to the Carcieri fix bill and hopefully addressing some amendments that we have to put on that. But I first want to talk about S. 1125, the Blackfeet Water Settlement Bill. This is a bill that is passed out of the state of Montana's legislature back in 2009. It's a bill that has been at this level now for 6 years. It's a bill that is critically important to the Blackfeet people and, quite frankly, to all of Montana. Nonetheless, there are some issues with this bill that, after consultation with Senator Daines this morning, we thought it would be better to pull this bill back now, give folks 30, 40 days, however much time it will be till our next markup in January, to deal and try to resolve at least one outstanding issue that is the Birch Creek issue that I know, Mr. Chairman, you have concerns about also. So it is not really something that we want to do today, but I think it is something for the good of the order and for the opportunity to put people at the same table and try to get a solution to a problem. And then I think in January, one way or the other, we're going to try to move forward with this bill, and hopefully there will be a solution so that this conflict will be off the table. Just in closing, I want to thank Senator Daines for his workability on this issue and his approach. Very much appreciate that.
Anyone else like to make an opening statement? Senator Daines.
Yeah, thanks, Senator Tester. And as John just mentioned, we're going to continue to work together in the spirit, I think, of measure twice and cut once. It's just best that we have a little more time here to sort out the issues here so that we come back for a markup in January. We'll be ready to go. And Mr. Chairman, thanks for your commitment, giving us some extra time. We'd like to see this marked up here before the end of January.
Thank you. Anyone else from the open?
Mr.
Senator Hoeven.
Yeah, I have some concerns about the legislation. But I'm hopeful that we can engage in a dialogue with both Senator Tester and Senator Daines and come up with something that we think works as well. So appreciate the way that you're approaching it, and we'll look forward to dialoguing with you and hopefully coming up with something that we can support as well.
Anyone else like to speak to any of the issues? Okay. Well, now we'll take up Senate Bill 1879, the Interior Improvement Act. 3 amendments have been filed to the bill. I'm offering a substitute amendment, number JAC 15D37. The substitute amendment speaks to the many edits, concerns, and suggestions that staff have compiled to improve the bill since I introduced it back in July. So I now move to consider my amendment to the bill. Do I have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please by saying aye. Opposed, nay. In the opinion of the chair, the amendment passes. Senator Tester.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank you for bringing this issue up. This is an issue that has not been an easy issue that we've struggled with when I was chair, and I know when Senator Cantwell was chair, and probably even before that. So I want to start out by saying thank you. It seems that with many tribal issues, we're behind the ball when it comes to government red tape and excess bureaucracy, and I think this includes everything from economic development to education to energy development, the last of which we tried to address with by advancing the Indian Energy Bill earlier in this Congress. That bill would allow tribes to take reins of energy development by allowing them to bypass governmental red tape. But for this Carcieri fix issue, the Interior Improvement Act, it takes up current regulations on fee-to-trust lands and then adds some new terms and administrative steps to that process. And I'm not sure yet if that is the right approach, but I'm still willing to see if it's where the tribes want to go on this issue. Right now, I am not convinced that this approach will reduce litigation between tribes and counties. In fact, it may even increase litigation by creating new processes with new terms. So I do have filed 2 amendments to S 1879, one which would simply strip out some of the language to return it to what folks have called a clean Carcieri fix, which to the chairman's credit is the basis for this overall bill. This committee has passed a clean fix out before by voice vote each of the last 2 Congresses. This year, the bill has bipartisan support on this committee with 7 co-sponsors, and House side has a similar bill with over 40 bipartisan co-sponsors. And I know that some folks have said that if a clean fix were going to pass, we'd have gotten it done already. That doesn't mean it isn't the right thing to do. I'm going to introduce the Second Amendment in block with the first one. The Second Amendment would address on-reservation fee-to-trust acquisitions. Your bill addresses the off-reservation component, and that has been one of the sticking points for the past few years. But it is silent with respect to on-reservation applications, which I think we've heard from tribes also needs to be addressed, as even putting these lands in trust can take too long. My amendment would make these on-reservations fee-to-trust applications mandatory for the Department of Interior. It would make them mandatory for the Department of Interior. That would expedite these lands going into trust where the tribal interest is the greatest, on reservation and next to other trust lands. There is no reason these lands, which would already be owned by the tribe, should not be placed in trust if that's what the tribe wants to pursue. This amendment would allow the tribes to pursue their development plans with more certainty and less cost. So with that, I would move those 2 amendments in block, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you. We have a motion to consider the 2 amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Any discussion on the amendments? I do have some concerns about these amendments. Amendment number JAC 15D31 would essentially, as Senator Tester has indicated, basically be a, quote, clean fix. That measure was introduced over the past 3 Congresses, has failed to gain the support necessary to move forward, which is why we worked to develop the Interior Improvement Act. The amendment would also, I believe, fail to protect other land determinations made by the Secretary of Interior. The Second Amendment would add provisions relating to on-reservation trust acquisitions, making these acquisitions mandatory and eliminating the Secretary's discretion. The mandatory nature of on-conservation acquisitions has not been an issue in the Carcieri decision, nor a product of negotiations between the various stakeholders. So I'm concerned that either of these amendments could complicate further progress in advancing this bill. I would, however, support separate legislation dealing with that on-reservation land into trust issue and offer another robust forum for that discussion at another time. I just can't support these amendments today. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the bill as proposed with the amendment that's already been approved, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the amendments do not pass. All right. I called that wrong. Let me take that back. Let me go back. Let me go back and clarify. Let me go back and clarify. All right. We have 2 amendments to be discussed in block. I do not support these amendments. All right.
Got it.
All right. If they're having heard no further discussion on the two amendments, the vote is on the two Tester amendments considered in block. All those in favor of the Tester amendments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Nay. In the opinion of the chair, the nays have it.
If I,
Go right ahead.
if I'm not going to ask for division, what I would say is that I'll continue to work with you. I think this is a critically important issue for the tribes. We need to make sure that we do what's right for the tribes and really move the ball down the field for them as it comes to this Carcieri thing, this Carcieri problem. It is a big problem. You know that, Mr. Chairman. You wouldn't have brought this bill up. We just need to work together and try to make it better.
Thank you, Senator Tester.
Mr. Chairman, could I add a statement for the record?
Yes.
There are some obvious Oklahoma issues with Oklahoma being a non-reservation state and the 38 recognized tribes in Oklahoma. There's some unique dynamics. If I can just add a statement to the record for this, I'd appreciate it.
That'd certainly be fine. Thank you. Any other statements at this time? No. Being no further, any other amendments? Being no further amendments, I move the bill S-1879 be amended as passed. Is there a second? Discussion, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by saying nay?
Nay.
All right. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The amendment is passed. And if anyone would request a roll call vote, we can certainly do that.
Well, I definitely want to be recorded as a no. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anyone else want to be recorded as a no? We can. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Without any further issues to be brought to this business meeting, the business meeting is adjourned.